Hi, I'm Treakser and welcome to my channel. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe my channel and on notification. And when a game enters development hell, it's usually over with a very high probability. We are on the side of a weak game that has been played many times, but in these opening sentences after Dead Island 2 game review, I am happy to say that Dead Island 2 has really risen from the grave and is a successful and lovely product that I would like to recommend it to everyone immediately after finishing the game. But still, Dead Island 2 is not so much a perfect game as a value beyond 1. In order to have a better understanding of the game, it is necessary to review its development process once. The first version of the game was made in 2011 by Techland Studio. Deep Silver, as the publisher of the game, requested the development of the next version due to the acceptable success of the first version. Finally, in 2013, a detailed expansion pack called Riptide was released as a separate game, and Techland abandoned the game's development process. The success of Dead Island showed that the Techland studio could have a more serious partnership and take a bigger share of the success. But whatever the story was, this agreement between the developer and the publisher was not formed. As a result of such a decision, Techland made Dying Light with a new publisher, the second edition of which was published last year. Techland got what he wanted, but Deep Silver was caught in a big swamp after Techland. In 2014, Dead Island 2 had a special showing at E3, and we learned that Yager Development, that the creator of Spec Ops Deadline, is developing it. Sometime later, the project ran into problems and the development was stopped for a long time. Yager abandoned the project in 2015, but it took until 2016. Introduced a new developer, Sumo Digital. Sumo Digital also played with the game for a while, but in 2018 it abandoned its development. Finally, we come to 2019 and Dambuster Studio, one of the Deep Silver's in-house studio, has taken over the development and is also the final developer. Let's go to the game itself. The story is told in Hell or LA. It is not expected that with such a beautiful city theme we will be on the side of the eye-pleasing game. This is exactly the strength of the game. Experiencing the 9th generation version of this game on a 4K screen was one of the few experiences of the new generation that touched my heart. We're in the third year of PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, but we still haven't been seeing that many non-exclusive games that are eye-catching, but this one, despite all the problems it's been through, it's a really great example of environment design and luxurious and large houses, shops, police stations, and the whole range of attractive locations with a relatively good detail are arranged together in a place of zombie infested Los Angeles. When I say that they have good details, it is not limited only to the doors and walls and the things that are arranged inside them. I mean, each of them has a story in itself, and even if they don't have a formal narrative in one of the main and secondary stages, you will find the living soul inside it with a little generation. Los Angeles is the first stage of the game that keeps in the game, and every time you leave the game you want to come back and spend a few hours under the scorching LA sun, slicing zombies. I don't know whether Dead Island 2 would still be so charming if Dumbledore Studio couldn't design such a beautiful environment. And if you have seen the trailers of the game, you know that Dead Island 2 has made significant progress compared to the first version, but its core is almost the same. Nothing more has been added to it, but with a relatively high quality. It is considered a representative of the ninth generation of games, the ideal balance point on which the game stands in exactly here, which, while maintaining its originality, doesn't look like a 7th generation game and gives a complete sense of being up to dateness, which of course stands on the edge of the abyss. When there are two successful games in the same genre, it is inevitable to compare them. Dead Island stands in such a position with Dying Light, and no matter how much you want to see this game independently, and the game of comparison comes very quickly. Dead Island includes less fun elements in its gameplay than its rival, such in each slayer whose role you play in the game has a main weapon, usually a melee weapon, and a series of throwing items which increase in number as the game progresses. And slayers have a series of fixed features and a series of variable features. At the beginning of the game, your choice is among 6 slayers, each with a short and unimportant story background with different physical character styles and gameplay. Whichever of these 6 people you choose, you have to continue with him until the end of the game, and his fixed character styles are unchangeable, but by completing more missions and leveling up, characters cards are unlocked and the gameplay can be slightly changed. The combination of these 3 main tools, weapons, projectiles, and skills, with the game's in creativity and environment forms the score of the gameplay. Of course, there are many details in each of them. For example, whether your weapon is cold or hot, it can be customized with elements that damage zombies. For example, it is obligatory to have a small weapon with fire arrows and a volley weapon with electric arrows. Water and gasoline are seen a lot in the game environment. Now imagine that you have entered an environment full of zombies and you want to get rid of them all at once. You dip one corner in gasoline, pour water on the outside, and then drop your bait into the oil. The zombies are swarming towards the prey, and now you will set them all on fire with an rose under their feet. If they are thick-skinned zombies, they should also pass through the second layer of your trap, which is electrified water. If they pass this layer, it's time to take the poisoned baseball bat and face them personally. And the third element that makes Dead Island special and lovely is its wonderful humor, which happens to be very up to date and modern, from referring to the movements of recent years to the impact of social media on people, or even simple jokes in the heart of society. One of the characters in the game is a bodybuilder, and in one of the missions he says that find my friends. Before you do the mission, he tells you that his friends, despite always being clubbers, have weak legs and can't run well. When you enter the mission, you realize that both of his friends, who are big thirsty giants have become zombies, and you make it they work. When you tell him the news, his reaction is, "I told them to walk for a day." The humor of the game is great. All his characters are excredibly stupid or careless, like, "Damn, you're standing in the middle of a zombie apocalypse and you're in Instagramming live and throwing zombies off the roof to get help." The more you drive into the game and do more side steps, the more these characters show you their silly side and gradually become good friends. And with all this interpretation, if we consider a wide spectrum, Dead Island 2 is no more, no less than a good game. It won't let you down. It's good companion for a few hours of fun, and it has the feel of games from the past decade, but it is not an experience that you will remember in great detail years later and become eternal in your being. Why? Because it has serious and identifiable defines and deficiencies. As a good with a lot of focus on hand-to-hand combat, the variety of customizable weapons could have been a strange of the game, but the limited number of blueprints and completely predetermined features made the weapon just plain. Even firearms don't change the game dramatically. In fact, Dead Island 2 has performed poorly where it should have been special to become an exceptional game, and it takes hours for the game to give you good features and open them not for you. The skills of each slayer is another part that could have put the variety to the ceiling, but the cards of each character are designed with little creativity and large amounts of boredom. In Dead Island 2, we don't have anything as a build, but there are traces of it. It's as if the creators wanted each slayer to have its own serious and specific path, but after a few hours of the game, you see that you don't have many ways to make a different build, and your slayer is what you see. Finally, several small changes can be made in the game path, which doesn't bring a great sense of variety. The lack of variety and simplicity of the gameplay is the biggest problem of Dead Island 2. Unfortunately, if the creators of the game had done it right, we would definitely have a more important game, but so far Dead Island 2 is really fun and enjoyable, especially when you remember that the game has been under development for 10 years and has been rebuilt many times.
Doctor, I'll need to be put me on hold for just a moment.
Hey, wait! I need you! You have to get here! Hello? You okay?
Anyway, Dead Island 2 is a good game. It's definitely worth the experience, but expect for the great humor and first-rate environment design. It doesn't offer anything new compared to its similar games, and after completing the main and secondary stages, they are better than his case is closed. Dead Island 2 is free of microtransactions and endless boxes of luck and everything else that has captured the space of cooperative and online games that in these days, and for this reason the game is extremely lovable and respectable. Anyway, if you like this video, don't forget to like this video. Yes, it is, and subscribe my channel and on notification. Peace.